Nevertheless, I still I still feel like Jane having to go through a process of waking up to know that I'm Mary.
Yes, that may be so. So, as Jane, ask yourself recognize your Jane. What's your name? Bob. So, on this occasion, Mary has dreaming that she's Bob. And Bob realizes, Bob is wandering around the streets of London, and let's say no, I don't want to complicate it. Let's say Bob is on the streets of London. So Bob realizes that everything he knows, all his experience, or all his knowledge and experience, is refracted through the prism of his mind. He cannot be sure that what he sees out there is an external world made out of matter, because it's all filtered through thought and perception. So Bob has this recognition. Until I know the nature of my mind, until I know what is true about my mind, I cannot know anything that is true about the world that I perceive. So Bob has this incredible recognition that there can be nothing more interesting or important than to know the nature of my mind. I cannot know what anything is until I know the nature of my mind. And so at that moment, Bob's mind turns away from the objects of thought and perception, and it asks itself, what is the essential nature of my mind? What is my mind made of? It's obviously not made of thoughts, because thoughts are always coming and going, but my mind is always present. It cannot be made of perceptions or feelings or sensations, because these are always coming and going. But there is one element of my mind, there's an essential, irreducible element of my mind that is constant. That must be what the mind is made of. And thinking like this, Bob's mind is tracing it doesn't realize it, but Bob's mind is tracing its way back to its essential, irreducible nature. And then there is this recognition at some point that consciousness is the fundamental nature of my mind. And then we begin to ponder the nature of consciousness, or of course it is consciousness that does the pondering. Consciousness, as it were, looks at itself. We are conscious of being conscious, aware of being aware. And there is this recognition that just in the experience of being aware itself, there are no limitations. I cannot get to the edge or the end of being aware. The experience of being aware cannot be divided up. It is a seamless, infinite, indivisible, ever-present whole. That is the recognition. What I am is eternal and infinite. And then we go back to the experience of the world, and we realize that the world that we once thought took place outside of ourselves is an appearance within this ever-present, unlimited consciousness. And everything that appears in consciousness is made of consciousness. And that's the recognition. Everything that I experience is God's infinite being in religious language, or in the language we use here is the activity of consciousness, a modulation or colouring, a self-colouring of consciousness.
But from that recognition of aware of being aware, there would still seem to be a deconstruction process to go through for the mind and body.
So say that again. From
the point of becoming aware that there is only consciousness.
Yes.
There is still a body and a mind here which
yes.
has spent 66 years thinking differently.
Yes, exactly. So that there is one thing. The first step, the recognition, I am awareness. The second step, the recognition of the infinite nature of awareness. And then the third step, those first two steps are both part of the inward-facing path, the Vedantic path. The mind tracing inwards. And then the third step is this is the tantric or the outward-facing path, the realignment of all aspects of our experience with this new understanding. There has been this recognition. What I essentially am is infinite consciousness. And all my experience, and so then we begin to explore experience, objective experience, and we realize it all takes place not to consciousness, but in consciousness. And then not just in consciousness, but as consciousness. So there is a gradual realigning of the way we think, feel, act, perceive, and relate with this new understanding. This is the process that takes place after the recognition of our true nature. And that was the part of this teaching which I was earlier calling the tantric approach, the approach that includes all objective experience, whereas the Vedantic approach, the inward-facing path, starts by excluding all experience and just focusing inwards. I don't mean inwards onto the body, I mean inwards towards the essential nature of mind. So yes, it's important that, as you say, Bob has some habits of thinking, feeling, acting, perceiving, and relating have developed over 66 years. And these habits outlive the recognition of our true nature. If you had been on a progressive path and spent 40 years doing preliminary practices, then a certain number of these habits would have been realigned along the way before you met the direct path teachings. And that may be the case in your case. I don't know, but even if we have, after the recognition of our true nature, for all of us, there are habits in the way we think, habits in the way we feel, the way we sense the body, habits the way we relate with one another, the way we perceive the world, that are still running on the old paradigm. And it's amazing to... It's very easy. I hear this sometimes, that it's obvious that what I essentially am is unlimited awareness, and everything appears in that and is made of that. But it's not just a one-time recognition. The mind, there are layers and layers and layers and layers of habit in the mind and in the body. And it's my experience that these layers are gradually exposed to the light of awareness. I find now that my mind is constantly being illuminated by fresh understanding. That this understanding takes time to deeply penetrate the old structures of thinking and feeling. It continues to fill out and reveal itself and to colonize our experience. Not just our feeling, but even our thinking. In fact, I don't think we can ever say this colonization or permeation of our experience by the light of awareness ever comes to an end. I hope it doesn't.
Thank you. That